What's up, everybody? It's your girl Kiwan, and I am back with Love and Hip Hop Miami, Season 7, Episode 12, The Tables Turn. Before I start, y'all make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Click the notification bell button so you can be updated on every video I drop. Make sure y'all like the videos so I can send an algorithm, okay? All right. So, y'all, this episode starts with Trina, Zoe Brinks, and Joy. So, we see Trina shooting a music video with Zoe Brinks. And I guess my question was, I didn't think y'all mess with Zoe Brinks like that, the way y'all was treating her, and now all of a sudden y'all cool like that. But it felt like, for me, y'all needed a scene, but let's just keep on moving. So Zoe moved back to Houston. She actually got her weight loss surgery. She actually lost a total of 178 pounds. And she actually realized during this journey how hard it really is, like, to maintain that weight. So Zoe, for me, she looks good. Like, she's pretty. She looks really good. Okay. I love this for Zoe. So Joy, y'all, Joy is such a bird. So she tells Zoe how, her boots are cool. And then Zoe was like, oh yeah, I used to watch Flavor of Love and yada yada yada. And so how Ching tried to come over to Joy's event, try and talk to her, but she said, I turned my head because Joy is childish. And she was like, I wasn't gonna speak to her. Right. So Joy goes on to tell Zoe that they all were Team Zoe. Again, when did that happen? But I guess, I think they had to come around to Zoe because they didn't treat Zoe well they didn't treat Zoe well either way. So Trina tells Zoe, to go and get your lick back with Ching Diamond and then move on. And I'm just like, girl, it's given. She needed a little more airtime. Y'all needed to bring her on. And here we are. Okay, here we are. So Claudia and Rada, the one person that has sense, that is not a cast member, not a friend. She is Rada's friend, but somebody who just kind of comes in and out with sense. We love Claudia. Shout out to Claudia. Okay. So Claudia tells Rada, girl, I didn't know you was living like this. Rada said Michael had better have me living like this for all the shit he put me through. Girl, you voluntarily decided to go through all of this with Michael. So you feel like you need to be compensated based on the way you live. And it's just like Michael said, I give good, and I can afford her to have a good lifestyle, which is why you state you're comfortable. Anyway, Claudia tells Rada she heard Michael interview over on the Breakfast Club. And so Rada explains to Claudia, asks Claudia, I don't understand why he would go and embarrass me like that. And I'm like, girl, he been embarrassing you since day one. He has. He's been embarrassing this lady since Ben. Okay? So Claudia says, because you let him get away with it. And I agree. And I think we all would agree with Claudia. Rada allows him to do whatever he wants to do. Anyway, Radia tells Claudia, the baby, that Nadia's baby is his, and that he's also moving Nadia to Miami. So Claudia thinks that Michael wants them to be sister wives. And she goes on to tell Rada, listen, Michael don't believe you because you've given him an ultimatum numerous times and for years, and you've never really stood on business. And so she tells Rada to start start putting herself first, which she doesn't know how to do that. And now since she has this baby, she's definitely going to consistently put herself last. Apparently, we find out Michael do not munch on her carpet. And this is what she's saying to Claudia. She also shares with Claudia about Kat and Kent. But Claudia actually lets her know, listen, you don't really know them people like that, so you really need to guard yourself and watch out for them. Like, I think that's what any friend would do. Like, you don't know what they have up their sleeve for you. So I'm always here for Claudia because Claudia is always on the side of choosing you, and she's always on the side of right. Anyway, Amada, Eliza, and Shay meet up. So Amada is at the table watching Miami Tip crash out in one of her social media videos. She said on one hand she sympathizes with Miami because she once was humiliated by a man, but another part of her just really relishes in Miami's downfall because of what Miami put her through. Now, the only thing I want to address is you saying you was hurt by a man that I want to add that you voluntarily decided to be with, which was somebody else's husband. Even though you probably didn't know in the beginning, but when you found out, you still decided to stick around and have babies by somebody else's husband. So you don't get any sympathy points from any of us because you volunteered to be with another woman's husband. Anyway, Eliza Rain arrives and Amada tells her, she hates the way things went at Eliza's party. Eliza feels like she had the best intentions, and part of me feels like you did not. Let's be clear, you did not, because you just didn't. Okay, you knew that all of those ladies was going to act a fool. So whether you thought you had good intentions, listen, the fact that she thought she had good intentions is laughable to me, because I don't know if she's trying to convince us or herself, Shay, or the other ladies, but you did not. So Shay walks up with all of her anger in true fashion Shay form. Okay. And so they have the conversation about everything that happened. And then Shay sometimes I check out when Shay starts to talk. So what I caught is when she told Amada, I don't need you to mediate for me. And I'm looking at Shay like just an episode or two ago, you told her how you were mad at her because you felt like she never fight for you. Well, she stood up for you. She even tried to mediate the situation, and that's still not good enough for you. Like, it's almost like you either want this lady to get into a physical altercation on your behalf, which is crazy to me. It's like you're not comfortable with anybody being a peacemaker because you don't have any peace in your own life. And that's what it gives me. Like, I'm truly confused. You said you wanted her, you felt like she never had your back. She had your back, and you're mad at the way you felt like she shouldn't have had your back. Like, it feels like you was mad at the way she had your back because she tried to mediate and not aggravate the situation. Like, I wasn't trying to rhyme, y'all, but I'm just saying, girl, find you a therapist and go to hell. Like, I really tried to take up for Shay. I really, 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 really did, because I was rooting for her. We all was rooting for you. Okay. Anyway, Rada, Madam and the Pimp. I'm sorry. So Rada meets up with the Madam and the Pimp, and they talk with Rada about the argument between her and Rada. Between Rada and Michael they had at the restaurant, right? So then they decided to ask Rada if she wanted to join their foot menage a three. And so they can pimp her toes out. Okay, so she can become one of their employees and pimp her toes out. Okay, Rada was like, listen, I got a baby, I got life happening, and I'm gonna give it a no, but I appreciate it. Girl, I was like, you got a little sense. You got a little sense to walk away from this foolishness. Okay, very little, might I add. I mean, about this much, but you got some. And now for that, I am proud of you. Okay, I'm extremely proud of you, girl. So anyway, Kent thinks Rada will come around. Rada, and I guess it's the delusions for me, but okay, fine. So Rada is in a car. And she's, I guess, like she said that she thinks that Michael can be the man she wants him to be. And that is the problem. You want him to be who you think he should be, and not having a grip or understanding or the wherewithal to see who he really is. Like, you are going to sit around and wait for him to do something that he's not going to do, which is change. And you feel like he should change for you. Like, I feel like you flip backwards and forward in the bedroom for him. Everything you do for him is for him to change. And he's showing you who he is. He's not going to change. Not for you, not for Nadia, not for nobody. Anyway, so she get a DM from Nadia with a video of her saying that her and the baby will be arriving to Miami. And of course, Rada is pissed, right? So we get to Ching. Ching is on the phone with her mom. And she said she came to Miami for power moves, but Trina and her plus ones not really speaking to her like that because they team Zoe. So she feels like Zoe is spreading rumors about her. No, ma'am. What we seen you, how we seen you act on camera last season, how we seen you act like you were so much bigger than Zoe is what we're all going by. And with the cast, they're going by what they can physically see and what Zoe may have told them prior. Anyway, she tells her mom she's still not giving Marquez the DNA test, which is so crazy to me because you feel like the longer you either feel two ways. He's just going to accept the fact that this is his baby because you told him this was his baby, or you don't want to give him the test because you don't want to let him go, which makes you very toxic. Anyway, Ching's mom tell her to sit down with Zoe, and the way she was explaining to her mom that she is so much better than Zoe. And I'm looking at Ching, y'all. I really tried, but I tried to get his 15 minutes. But this bitch acting like she David Ruffin and Zoe is the fucking Temptations out here. And I'm just like, you act like you are bigger than the program, and you are not. You really are not. Okay? This is why everything you got going is in the toilet. Okay? Because of your attitude. Anyway, but she decided, she'll think about sitting down with Zoe. And I'm just like, girl. Anyway, Michael had the audacity. I mean, he have big ass audacity. Okay. He brought Nadia to Miami, but not quite Miami. He has her in Fort Lauderdale. And she's in her confessional saying that I'm not a side chick. You're not a side chick. You are a side chick. Like, she was just really boasting and bragging of how much she thinks she's on the same level as Rada. And at the end of the day, he don't care about either of you. He may care about the babies, but he doesn't care about either one of you because y'all wouldn't allow him. I mean, if he did, he would not run over y'all the way he does. So we get to this house and it's pretty much run down. So she was like, first of all, he wants to make life for her so uncomfortable that when you get out of the car, it's rocks. Like it's rocks on the ground, not a pavement where she can just kind of, roll her baby on a pavement. You have to literally pick the stroller up or hold the baby. And as soon as you walk in the house, there is no hallway to go down. You just open the door and go straight up some stairs. And so she's mad. And she was like, I want to live like Rada. And I don't want you to put a budget on where I live. So she want to live in the best of the places. But ma'am, you decided to leave your home in California to follow Zeke. So with that being said, wherever the take you is what you gonna get. This is what happens when you follow Zeke. Okay? You would never have what the way he treats Rada. He won't treat you that way. It's bad enough he's treating her poorly. He's gonna treat you extra poorly. Like he will not put you on this pedestal that you think you should be on because you decided to keep your baby. I'm just saying. The house was a shit show. Okay, it was a shit show. But hey, he put you in no hotel. And I'm just looking at her like, girl, this man don't. She was like, you told me you love me. He told you that. But he don't show you. Like, he doesn't act on that love. All he do is give you what it is that you're asking for. Y'all gonna listen. You old hoes are going to stop letting people insert babies and letting these niggas insert babies in y'all. And hold on. Y'all gonna get tired of that. Y'all gonna get tired of being somebody's cum bucket, cum dumpster. But whatever. Let's just move it along. Amada meets with ugly ass clout chasing Chuck. When I tell y'all Chuck is ugly than a mother. Whatever. So, just like Miami, Amada is also male identified AF. Period. So Chuck and his missing side tooth tell Amada that Miami was messing with a married man when she was out on the pole. Okay. He also tell her he also made it seem like Miami was hoeing around when she was out in her world. And Chuck broke bum ass then decides he decided to let us know how he claimed he picked Miami up off the street, out the strip club, and turned her into a woman. Like, he didn't say those words, y'all, but that's what I felt like he was alluding to. And I'm like, sir, you did all of this for her, but you couldn't get this. You couldn't put a tooth right here. This right here, this little tooth right here, and is gone. Okay, some of y'all here, y'all see my my feeling. Anyway, right here is missing. I'm sorry. Anyway, you coming to us talking about how you was Captain Save-A-Hole, but you couldn't get your tooth fixed and the rest of them teeth. Okay, because they was yellow. And good thing I don't have high definition on my TV. But they looked brown and yellow. They were crooked and one was gone. So pump your brakes. Okay? Then he goes on to tell Amada that the whole time Miami wanted him, her, and Amada to be a menage a three. And I'm looking like, I know that you lying. I do think Chuck is lying. I think Chuck is lying, but it's not beyond me not to think that Miami ain't got a little dyke in her. Okay? That's what I think too. However, I do think Chuck is lying. I don't even like Miami like that. I used to. I don't even like her like that. But it's still, he is lying. He's trying to make this lady look bad. That's all that is. So Michael and Rada. Michael arrives home and he was like, hey, how you? It is amazing how he can just come on the screen and act like nothing has happened between him and I was gonna say the baby mama. Him and Rada. Okay? Nothing. So Michael tells us, they talk about the Breakfast Club interview, and he tells us that he always lies in his interviews, and everything he says is not real life, which is what comedians do. They embellish their stories just a little bit. So basically, you humiliated your baby mama or old lady for clicks and views. Right. Anyway, so Michael go ahead and confess to Rada that Nadia and the baby has moved to Miami. Michael tells Rada that she has to get along with Nadia, and I'm looking like, no, the hell she don't. You the one who made the baby. That's what she said. I wasn't the one who took my penis and stuck it in another woman's vagina. You did that, not her. She didn't tell you to do that. Well, you kind of consented to it when you agreed to be in this relationship with him. Okay. So we get to sit down with Zoe and Ching. Ching felt like her trust was violated. She felt like she wasn't trustworthy, or neither was she. She felt like she was trustworthy, and she was also a good friend to Zoe. I said, man, this girl got really have revisionist history, but okay. So Ching decided to tell us a story that she was triggered because she had been locked up. But you never disclosed that to Zoe. You kept disclosing to Zoe how you and Marquez kept getting into it. But let me just keep on going. So she said she was triggered when Zoe called Marquez a jailbird when Zoe was telling her not to be with Marquez. And I just want to be here to remind you that your alleged baby daddy, Marquez, is and was a jailbird. Did you not say that he had been in and out of jail? In between his time getting out, being released, he had cheated on you repeatedly? And you're mad. You was mad because Zoe clocked your tea. You didn't want the truth because you wasn't ready to leave that situation with Marquez. So you just need to go ahead, take this L, and keep it a buck. That's what it was. You were toxic. He's toxic. And you wanted to stay in that situation. Because of what? Okay? This just has been the topic of this show and the downfall for all of these women that we've been talking about today. Okay? Except for the other ladies. Okay? Except for Shay and them and all of them. But most of this has been about dick. Okay? So Zoe go ahead and apologize to Ching for that comment that she made about Marquez, which I wouldn't have, because it's the truth. Okay? You told her this information, and the only reason she was coming at you because she was trying to be a friend to you and to say, hey, you're focused over here, but you really need to be over here. Focus on the thing that you came to Miami, the reason you came to Miami, and that was music. Anyway, she tells Ching, listen, I didn't know that you were in jail. I judged Marquez based on the information that you gave me. So Ching tells Zoe, that she overstepped her boundaries, and Zoe was like, but you didn't create a boundary. Period. So once again, Ching takes this moment to tell Zoe, to fat shame Zoe once again. And that's because Zoe told Ching that she was insecure. And so Ching was like, I'm insecure, but you the one who went and got a sleeve, and you're calling me insecure? Well, she didn't say it like that, but I'm just kind of summing it up. And again, I feel like a part of Ching, you want to be just as smaller as a lot of women. So that's why you make it a deal to push out anything, any type of rap deal about your weight, or you lead with your weight because you're uncomfortable with it. You call it confidence, I call it insecurity, and I call it discomfort. Anyway, I was looking at Ching once again because you're hitting below the belt, and understand that Zoe did this sleeve because she wanted to be a healthier version of herself. She wanted to improve her health. That's where it starts, and that's where it stops. Okay? So anyway, Ching tells Zoe, she made her post get to 1 million views. And then Zoe tells her that's because the people were fat shaming us. And they didn't pan back in that episode, but I remember they sat down and they talked about it, tried to kiki about it and say, hey, it ain't no big deal. But Zoe did point out how much the people were fat shaming them and how many comments that they got being two big ass women. That's what that's what happened. I remember that. I remember that so well. I just feel like Ching thinks she's bigger than the program. And when she's put in a corner, she throws all of these tantrums. And that's because she can't control her emotions. And once she throws tantrums, when she still can't get what she wants, the next thing she do is throw things. I don't understand that. She throws things. And I'm just looking at her like, girl, you are so childish. Very childish. And now that we're talking about childish ways and childish people, we get to Amada and Tip. Okay? Amada goes to Tip podcast. Her branding manager or whatever wants her to show up in a more positive way. But of course, this is Amada. She's always going to show her ass because she wants to be extra. That is who Amada is. She wants to be extra. So whatever. She don't think about the consequences. She just gonna go ahead and put Miami stuff out there just like Miami did to her. So she goes on a Miami's podcast and she spilled everything, whether it was the truth or not. She put everything out there that Chuck said. That Chuck said to Amada. She put it all on that podcast. And I was like, this is a shit show. They get to arguing. And like the rest of the ladies, Amada knocks the lady, throws the lady's flowers and knock over her poster board. All right, fine. Last, we see Rada. She's going to have lunch with Nadia. And this is where the episode ended. This was the shit show. Okay? That is it. Y'all, that is all I got. This is your girl, Q1, reminding you to keep showing up, keep growing, stay true to yourself, and I will see y'all in the next video. Bye.